Emma closed the front door of her new home, a creaky old house on the outskirts of town. She marveled at the high ceilings and intricate woodwork, completely unaware of the house's dark history. Little did she know, this would be the last moment of peace she'd have for a long time. It started innocently enough, a faint flicker in the corner of her eye one evening as she brushed her teeth, a shadow moving behind her reflection in the mirror. She dismissed it as a trick of the light, but the unease lingered. The next night the shadow returned, more defined and impossible to ignore. Emma stared at her reflection, her pulse quickening as the dark figure seemed to pulse with malevolent life. She reached out to touch the mirror, but her hand met only cold glass. Over the next few days the presence grew stronger, filling the house with an oppressive sense of dread. Lights flickered and Emma felt the shadow's cold breath on the back of her neck, no matter where she went. The mirror became a focal point of her terror. She would catch glimpses of the shadow, now almost humanoid in form, standing right behind her, its eyes glowing a ghastly red. Frantic, Emma began digging into the house's past, uncovering a chilling secret. The mirror wasn't just a mirror. It was a portal to a cursed dimension, a gateway for an entity born of darkness. This malevolent being had been trapped for centuries, and now it had latched onto her, desperate to drag her into its world. Sleep became impossible. Every time Emma drifted off, she would awake to the feeling of cold fingers brushing against her skin. The shadow was no longer confined to the mirror. It had escaped into her reality, stalking her relentlessly. Desperation consumed her as she sought a way to end the nightmare. She found an old diary hidden in the attic, its pages filled with the frantic scrawl of the house's previous owner. A tale of rituals and sacrifices, failed attempts to banish the entity. The last entry was a terrifying warning. Once the shadow had chosen a host, there was no escape. Emma's final night in the house was a blur of terror. She smashed the mirror in a last-ditch effort, but shards of glass only reflected countless shadows closing in on her. Her screams echoed through the empty halls, blending with the desolate wind outside. The next morning the house stood silent, its windows dark and lifeless. Emma was gone, vanished without a trace, leaving only the shattered remains of the mirror and a lingering sense of dread. The shadow had claimed its victim, and the house awaited its next unsuspecting inhabitant, hungry for another soul.